Yo, what's happening, man? What's up? It's your boy Rap Sneaks coming at you again with another episode from the Ep.9 Sports Talk Show. It's episode 9, I believe. Coming to you from Atlanta, man. Shout out to AIG Productions, helping me put this together. Head over to YouTube, like, share, subscribe to the video, to the content. Subscribe to the page. Head over to IG, follow the page at @YouTube Sports Talk. You want to follow my personal page on IG is Ralph_Sneaks with a Z. Follow me over there at X or Twitter, whatever you call it now. It's YouTube Sports Talk. But man, we're gonna get into it. A lot of people talking about nepotism. And when they was talking about that with the LeBron situation, I thought about the next situation that could possibly take place, and somebody try to duplicate and pull a LeBron move. And the name that came to mind was Prime, Deion, with his 2 sons at Colorado, Shedeur and Shilo. Both guys, brothers, and I'm not mentioning Travis Hunter. I'm just talking about the 2 guys that are brothers, Shedeur and Shilo. Those are Deion's sons. You know, I know they real close with Travis Hunter out there as well, but I'm just speaking about the sons right now, the father and sons, that could possibly pull a LeBron James move and get his sons to a certain team. Now there was a list of teams. Well, Deion did say there was teams that they weren't gonna go to. You know, I don't know the list of teams that they weren't gonna go to, but I did see a list that was released of teams that they would go to. Now I'm not sure how accurate that list is. I'm not sure if he said it or somebody close to him might have leaked it out off of what he said, or this, that, and third, but a list was released. Now I'm not sure they agreed to or whatever the case is, but there were 6 teams that I saw on the list. There were the Atlanta Falcons, the Washington Commanders, the Baltimore Ravens, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys, and the San Francisco 49ers. Those were the 6 teams that I seen on the list. Now, let me tell y'all, the NFL is not a players' league like the NBA is. See, what the NFL do is they get out on top of this shit and they stop a lot of shit before it gets started. Just like once they got everybody started trying to take a knee, they slowly put an end to that shit before it got out of hand. If you don't believe it, look at the comment that Bob Myers made before he passed. Bob Myers was the former owner of the Houston Texans. I think it's Bob McNair. I'm sorry, Bob McNair is his name. He was the former owner of the Houston Texans, right? I think Kyle McNair is now over it. I think it's his son. But before the dad, Bob McNair passed, he made the comment and he made the statement and said that we can't let the inmates run the prison. He was referring to the players as inmates and was referring to the NFL league, the NFL as the prison that's housing the players, which he referred to as inmates. Meaning we can't allow the players to take over the league. He just used the players and referenced them as inmates and referenced the NFL as prison. You can't have the inmates taking over the prison, is what he said. Meaning you can't have the players taking over the league. The NFL is not like the NBA. You're not going to get your way in the NFL like you're going to get your way in the NBA. There's several examples of players right now that were going through contract situations, but had they been in the NBA, they would have got extended last year and got their money. Because see, what you got to understand is the NFL don't pay you off potential. The NFL is paying you once you get your outside of your rookie contract. Once you get your next contract, if you get another contract after your rookie deal, they're not gonna pay you off of potential. They're gonna pay you off what you've done and what you're doing. Unlike the NBA will pay you off potential. You got plenty of contracts around the NBA right now. If you go and look at they play and go and look at the stats of the players, That stats, and they play don't equal up to the contract that they got. Because the NBA is paying them off what they're going to potentially do in the near future. They're paying them off potential. Unlike the NFL, they paying you off what you're doing now or what you recently done. Brandon Ayuk right now is catching hell with San Francisco about contract negotiations. Now, San Francisco offered him a contract and he turned it down because he wanted more money. But now he's catching hell about a contract, going through hell with contract negotiations with San Francisco. He wants one number. San Francisco is not giving it to him. Now, if Brandon Ayuk had been an NBA player producing, and they would have paid him by now. They would have extended him by now. But this ain't the NBA. This is the NFL. T. Higgins got slapped with the franchise tag. He wanted a contract. He got slapped with the franchise tag. You got free agents right now in the NFL that's available that are still good, solid players on an NFL team once they get on one. They want a certain number, and the team is not giving it to them. I get you got cap space and all this, that, third. But if you want that player, you can work some things out to get that player if you want it. But let me go back to the Brandon Ayuk thing. Because the NFL has a franchise tag that the NBA don't. And I'm going to tie all this back into the point I'm making. The NFL is not like the NBA. There are players right now in the NFL that don't want to be with certain teams, but they can't manipulate their way out of the situation where they at, unlike the NBA. You've seen it several times in the NBA where a player didn't want to be with a certain team and he forced his way out via trade. We've seen James Harden force his way out of Houston, get to Brooklyn where he wanted to go. Didn't like it didn't work out over there. Forced his way out of Brooklyn, got to Philly where he wanted to go. It didn't work out, didn't like it over there, and forced his way out of Philly to where he at now in LA as a Clipper. We've seen Ben Simmons force his way out of Philly. We've seen Paul George get out of OKC. We've seen KD get out of Brooklyn. We've seen Bradley Beal get out of Washington after having a no trade clause. Waived it to go to Phoenix. We've seen players in the NBA force their way out of a situation and get to another situation. We've seen NBA players get massive contracts based off not what they have done, but what they can potentially do in the near future. They got paid off of potential. The NFL ain't paying a player off of potential. Now, getting back to the 6 teams that were named, the list that was released, I don't know if Deion released it or Shedeur released. I don't know which one of them released it. But all this stems from a post that I seen on IG with Shilo, his other son, that plays safety. He was saying he hopes his daddy can LeBron James this thing and referring to getting them to play together on the Raiders. Now, the Raiders is not one of the 6 teams that was named. Now I'm willing to bet that the Raiders is now one of the teams that they would, if they want to go to the Raiders, that one of the Raiders is one of the teams that's coming up now because they know those other 6 teams they named, the possibility is the damn near 0% chance that it's going to happen with the other 6 teams that they originally named. And it's a good chance that it could happen in Vegas. Now, I had said this months ago that Vegas would be, this was before the coming up on the draft, and then I doubled down on it after the draft, after I seen the results of the draft. I said the Oakland Raiders would be a prime spot, a perfect spot for them to draft Shedeur in his upcoming draft in 2025. Because for one, they didn't get a quarterback. For 2, they need a quarterback. They're going to be a quarterback-needy team. Antonio Pierce is a brother over there, first-year head coach. They didn't get a quarterback in this past draft. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs, so they're gonna be picking high enough to be in position to get a Shedeur Sanders. On top of that, you got Tom Brady, who's now working with the Raiders in the front office. He's a part of the team, man, in the front office. Shedeur went to his TB12 camp. So him and Shedeur have great ties together. Combined with the fact, if you look at the city of Las Vegas, they're only about to get bigger. You got the WNBA there, the Las Vegas Aces. You got a WNBA franchise there now. The Raiders have now moved there. They got a WNBA franchise there now, and WNBA is getting bigger, and it's only going to get bigger if it continues to go in the direction that it's going. You got the Oakland Athletics that in 2 years, they'll be moving to Vegas. And then the NBA is going to expand expansion teams, in which I think one of those cities is a heavily favored city to get an expansion team in the NBA would be Vegas. So you're going to have an NBA franchise, a WNBA franchise, an NFL franchise, and an MLB franchise, all in Vegas. That's great marketability for off the field for Shedeur Sanders. That's great marketability. I said that months ago, and I doubled down on saying it after the Raiders didn't get a quarterback in this past draft. So in my opinion, that wouldn't even be Deion pulling a LeBron move to get him to Oakland. I mean, get him to Vegas. I keep saying Oakland, but get him to Vegas. That'll be more like Vegas being in position to get him, not Deion calling. I don't think he's gonna be able to do that. He ain't gonna be able to pull what Rich Paul pulled, allegedly calling other GMs and telling them not to draft Bronny because the Lakers was gonna take him at 55, and if they did draft him before 55, they were gonna take their talents over. They were gonna leave and go over to Australia. I don't think Deion is gonna call other GMs in the NFL and say, "Hey, don't draft my son because we're going to Las Vegas Raiders, and if you draft either one of my sons, we're going to go and play in the. We ain't gonna report. We're gonna go and play over in the Canadian League." It ain't gonna work like that in the NFL. Now, if you look at the 6 teams that were on the list, you got the Atlanta Falcons, who was a team. That ain't gonna happen. They just signed Kirk Cousins to a $180 million deal. And then they drafted Michael Penix with the 8th overall pick. So they already got a quarterback dilemma. Plus, I don't think the Falcons are going to be drafting high enough anyway because I think they're going to make the playoffs, even if they was considering it. They're going to win the division to make the playoffs, so they won't be drafting high enough, right? So you can X them out. Even though Deion is a former Atlanta Falcon and probably has ties to the organization and know people in the organization, you still X them out. You look at the Baltimore Ravens, who was on the list. They got an MVP quarterback in Lamar Jackson. They are a contending team. They won't be drafting high enough, and they're not getting rid of Lamar Jackson. You can X them out. The Washington Commanders. They could borderline possibly make the playoffs this year. Plus, they just took Jaden Daniels out of LSU. X them out. You look at San Fran. They got Brock Purdy over there, Mr. Irrelevant. They was just in the Super Bowl this past season. They won't be drafting high enough. Plus, look, even if they did think about trading up, they already did that and got burned. Remember they traded all the way up and took Trey Lance? Trey Lance ain't even on the damn team no more. It X them out. Plus, I think they like the way Brock Purdy fit their system. I think that San Francisco has found their quarterback that fits their system, and they're gonna stick with that. Only thing they got to do is continue to put offensive pieces around that fits within that Kyle Shanahan system. I don't think they're gonna go the route of drafting a quarterback all over again when they got Mr. Irrelevant. They're not going to X them out. They're not trading all of their future assets to move all the way back up again and take another quarterback after they did that with Trey Lance and got burned. Now, I'm not saying that Shedeur Sanders and Trey Lance, but I'm saying that San Francisco not too long ago did that, got burned. It didn't work out. They're not doing it again, especially when they got Mr. Relevant Brock Purdy, who they feel comfortable with within that offense. They just keep surrounding them pieces around that fits that Kyle Shanahan scheme out there. They not doing that. X them out. The Philadelphia Eagles, they going to be playoff contenders. They got Jalen Hurts. They were just in the Super Bowl, not this past season, but the season before against Kansas City. X them out. So you're looking at the team that he said, now I'm willing to bet. Oh, the Dallas Cowboys. Forgot about that team. Now, if you Dallas, that's the only one that may possible, and that's still a long shot because you don't know what Dallas is going to do with Dak Prescott, whether they're going to pay him or not. Dallas is another team that won't be drafting high enough to get him. I think if you're looking to get Shedeur Sanders, you got to be drafting in the top 7. Dallas, none of them teams I just named will be drafting that need a quarterback. Now, they got quarterbacks, or either they won't be drafting in the top 7. Dallas, they won't be drafting in the top 7. So even if they do move off of that, they won't be drafting high enough to draft Shedeur unless they're willing to give up future assets to move all the way up to the top 7 to get him. Now, if you want to look at a situation where they trade off Michael Parsons, get assets, draft capital, and use that draft capital in his upcoming draft to move up to get Shedeur Sanders, and then the money you saved on Parsons and then having a quarterback on a rookie contract, you pay CeeDee Lamb. I mean, you could look at that as a possibility. Deion Prime, again, a former Dallas Cowboy, so he know people that know people inside the organization. He played for Baltimore, played for Washington, played for Atlanta, played for Dallas, played for San Francisco. The only team that's on that list that he didn't play for was the Philadelphia Eagles. Out of those 6 teams, he played for 5 of them. So, yeah, he know people around the league within the organizations that he played for. I get it. But what's the likelihood that them teams that I just named drop their quarterbacks? And look at the situation I just said. It's you got 2 quarterback dilemma in Atlanta. Kirk Cousins, who you just paid $180 million to, and then you just drafted Michael Penix with the 8th overall pick. So you got 2 quarterback dilemma over there in Atlanta. You got Jalen Hurts in Philly. You got Brock Purdy in San Fran. You got Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. You just drafted Jay Daniels in Washington. Now, I don't know what about y'all, but how in the hell do you say they don't want to be in no cold weather city, but you name Baltimore, Philly, Washington? Last time I checked, it get pretty damn cold in them places. Plus, they got QBs. So, if the post I just seen, I seen like a week ago, it was on IG with Shedeur quoted saying that Daddy could LeBron James this thing to get him to the Raiders. I'm willing to bet they looked at them 6 teams and just thought the same thing that I just told y'all. And they looking at a more realistic option, which probably would be the Raiders. Because for one, the Raiders, like I said, didn't get a quarterback in this past draft. For 2, it's a ton of marketability off the field for Shedeur Sanders and for the Sanders brand. And you got ties. Tom Brady's got ties with the Raiders now. And Shedeur Sanders being, trained at the TB12 camp with Tom Brady. His connection and his ties there. So I'm willing to bet they looked at the list and said, damn, that ain't, that's unlikely. Let's look at some more realistic options. The Raiders. They're not going to win the division. They're playing indoors, which was a plus. You're in a city where you can be marketable off the field in Vegas, Because like I said, look at everything that's about to come to Vegas. You got a WNBA team already there. The Raiders are already there. The Oakland A's will be in there 2 years. Then the NBA is going to have an expansion team, which more than likely is going to be expanded into Vegas. So you got a lot going on that's coming to Vegas, which is going to bring more exposure and which is going to bring a bigger marketability off the field to the brand of Shedeur Sanders or Shilo if you're trying to get a combo deal package there or whatever, you know. But I'm willing to bet they looked at that and said, man, listen, the Raiders is more realistic than any of them other 6 options. So people seem to think that Deion is just going to call all these GMs and tell them not to draft Shedeur. That's what everybody seems to think. I'm here to tell you the NFL ain't like that. They don't go for the bullshit. Now, if you sitting there, let me just put a scenario out there. The New York Giants are going to need a quarterback. They're not rolling with Daniel Jones long term. So if you had the New York Giants drafting ahead of the Raiders, and let's say Seattle is somehow drafting ahead of the Raiders, which I don't believe they would be, but let's just say for the sake of conversation that the Seattle Seahawks are drafting ahead of the Oakland or the Las Vegas Raiders. The New York Giants are drafting ahead of the Raiders. Do you think that those two GMs, if they get a phone call from Prime and he tells them not to take my son Shedeur, don't take my son Shedeur. We already got plans to be in Vegas with the Raiders. Do you think the GM of the Giants and the GM of the Seattle Seahawks are gonna go for that shit and listen to that shit? I'm just being realistic. Now, if in my fantasy world, I don't give a damn what you do. I would fix it where you could do that. But we talking about real world shit here. We talking about the real life. We not talking about some fabricated shit. So let's just be real about it and keep everything in a realistic perspective. You think the general manager of the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Giants, that for the sake of conversation, are drafting ahead of the Las Vegas Raiders, and those will be quarterback needed teams, because I don't think Seattle is going to ride off with Geno Smith as the future. This is what, Geno's 3rd year over there, or upcoming this be his 3rd year. And the Giants is not going to ride off with Daniel Jones for the next 9 years as their quarterback. They ain't gonna do that. So those are just 2 QB needy teams off the top of my head. And not to mention, what if just Deshaun Watson just go out there and stink? It just look like hell out there in Cleveland. Now, I don't think they will be ahead of them, but I'm just saying for the sake of conversation, just using different scenarios so you can get to understand what I'm saying. Let's just say Deshaun Watson go out there and lay an egg, with Cleveland having a solid defense, having added Jerry Jeudy to go opposite of Amari Cooper. I'm not sure when Nick Chubb coming back, because he had that horrific knee injury last year. I'm not sure when he coming back. He looked good in recovery. I think I just seen a video. I did see a video. I think he was squatting like 500 some pounds, in his rehab recovery and all that. And he squatted it about 3 or 4 times. So, and he didn't struggle getting it up. You know what I mean? He went down, slowly came up all 3 or 4 times, but it wasn't straining like he was shaking it. So he looked good in his. I'm not sure when he coming back. It's clear for contact and all this. But let's just say the Cleveland Browns look horrible with Deshaun Watson playing like garbage. Let's just say that. Now I get they signed him to all this money. Don't you think they're gonna be looking to move off of Deshaun Watson? So you think that the general manager of Cleveland, the general manager of the New York Giants, the general manager of the Seattle Seahawks, if they get a call from Prime telling them 3 teams, look, man, we know y'all, we hear the rumors about y'all possibly, getting a quarterback, don't take my son because we already got plans to be in Vegas with the Raiders. You think they're going to go for it and hear that shit? See, it's things in the NFL you ain't going to do. Because let's be clear, it's other former players in the NFL that got sons that just got drafted or now making their way in the NFL. Don't you think that they would have had some type of say so with their son land? Look at this. Look at a guy. Look at Ed McCaffrey. I know Ed McCaffrey when he was in the NFL, he didn't have the same superstar status as prime time. He wasn't in the same statistical category as prime time. But his son Christian McCaffrey. Do you think he handpicked for his son Christian McCaffrey to go to Carolina with the 8th pick? I think it was 2017. They took him with the 8th pick. You think he handpicked for his son to be in Carolina? Christian McCaffrey since then has been traded over to San Francisco. But do you think he called other GMs? I think at the 2017 draft. Let's look at. I think Tennessee Titans at the time was a team that could have got a running back, and I think they was picking like 5th or 6th. But they were picking ahead of Carolina in that draft. Do you think he called Tennessee and said, "No, don't draft my son Christian McCaffrey. We already got plans to be in Charlotte with the Carolina Panthers." That was a team they could have used a running back. If I'm not mistaken, around that time they might have still had goddamn DeMarco Murray. Around that time, DeMarco Murray was damn near 30. So you don't think they could have upgraded running back position? Because when you get Christian McCaffrey, you basically got 2 in 1. You got 2 positions in one player. You got a running back and you got a wide receiver. Because you can line him up in the backfield, and he can run outside the tackles, inside the tackles. You can line him. He can pass catch. You can throw him a screen or a swing pass, or you can line him out wide in the formation as a receiver, and he can run routes better than a lot of receivers. And you can throw the ball not just 5-6 yards to him. You can throw the ball down the field to him as a receiver. He has hands. So he's basically a 2-in-1 player. He's a wide receiver and running back all in one player. You don't think they could have used that in Tennessee? Do you think Ed McCaffrey called the general manager in Tennessee and said, "Look, man, we already got plans to be in Charlotte with the Panthers, so don't take my son at 5. We're going 8, Charlotte. We're going to the Panthers. We're going to Carolina." Frank Gore. He spent 10 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers. Frank Gore is the third in all-time leading rusher in the NFL. He's behind Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton. 3rd all-time in rushing. He has a Super Bowl appearance. He's a 6-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro. No, I'm saying he's a 5-time Pro Bowl. I'm sorry. His son, Frank Gore Jr., went undrafted. He's now with Buffalo. You don't think he could have had a little pull in getting his son over there to San Francisco to be the backup behind Chris McCaffrey? He spent 10 seasons with him. He's 3rd all-time leading rusher in NFL history behind Walter Payton and Emmitt Smith. You don't think he has some type of connection with somebody over there in that San Francisco front office that say, "Look, man, could you get the son in here to back up McCaffrey?" Then you got Randy Moss, top 10 wide receiver of all time, 4th all time in receiving yards. He played 16 seasons or so, or something like that. Majority of them with Minnesota. We know what he did with the Patriots. Played in Oakland, played in San Francisco, played in Tennessee for a year piece. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a top 10 wide receiver of all time. He was on the All-2000 team. 4-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler. You don't think he could have had some pull and get his son somewhere? Because remember his son, Thaddeus Moss, he played on the LSU team that won the chip with Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jamal Chase, Jefferson. He came out, played a season with Washington, the Commanders, and played a season in Cincinnati. And now I think he's in the Canadian League. Went undrafted. You don't think Randy Moss could, know somebody in the NFL that could pull some strings to get his son drafted in there on a team? Now, once you get in there, it's up to you to do what you got to do to stay there. But I'm saying, you don't think he could have done something to get his team in there? Randy Moss. Now, whether he tried to or not, I don't know. But if he did, you don't think he could have had some type of... It's Randy Moss. He's a top 10 receiver of all time, 4th all-time receiving yards. Jerry Rice. He's the all-time receiving in NFL and receiving yards. He is the all-time leader in NFL receiving yards. 13-time Pro Bowl, 10-time All-Pro. He got 3 Super Bowl rings. He was named to the All-80s and All-90s team. He's a Hall of Famer, played 21 years in the league. 16 San Francisco, 4 in Oakland, 1 in Seattle. His son, Brandon Rice, went to USC. At one point during the season, he was projected to be a day 2, which was a 2nd round or 3rd round pick. But he ended up being a 7th round pick going to the LA Chargers. You don't think Jerry Rice knew somebody out of the 16 years he played in San Francisco? He didn't know somebody. He wasn't connected to somebody in that front office within that organization that could have got his son in there. Especially when you look at the situation with Brandon Ayuk. You going back and forth with a receiver now. You don't think they could have used him at some point? Now, I get they did draft a receiver in this year's draft in the 1st round. Ricky Purcell, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, out of Florida. They did take him in the 1st round. But you don't think that they still, Jerry Rice had some kind of pull within that organization that he probably could have got his son drafted there? But instead, he went 7th in the 7th round to the LA Chargers, which is nothing wrong with that. He's in the league. But I'm just trying to give y'all an example of the NBA and the NFL. It's different. The NFL is not going for that bullshit the way that y'all think it is. See, a lot of people think because who it is or whatever, they're just gonna go for it. They're not gonna just go for that shit like that. I'm telling you, it's different. They're not doing that. Bob McNair, I told y'all, he already said it, and he's since then died. But he was the owner of the Houston Texans. You don't get your way in the NFL like you do in the NBA. He told y'all we can't have the inmates running the prison. That's the statement. That's what he said. Once again, he was referring to the players as the inmates and referring to the NFL as the prison. You can't have the players running the league. Just like you can't have the inmates running the prison. That's what he was referring to. That's what he was equating that to. Deshaun Watson, former Houston Texan, he wanted out after J.J. Watt gone, DeAndre Hopkins gone. Now he won out. But what happened? He tried to force his way out, and all these sexual assault allegations came out. Why? It's mighty funny all that stuff came out when he wanted out. Now, if he never asked to be out of Houston, do you think this stuff would have came out? Now, I'm not saying he did it or didn't do it, but I'm just saying, looking at the situation, it's mighty funny that once he wanted out, all this shit came out. Makes me wonder that if he never asked to get out of there, would any of this shit have came out? He ain't do no time. Out of all them damn sexual assault allegations, he ain't do no time. Well, no criminal charges filed. They all wanted money. They want money. He eventually got out of there. But look what it took for him to get out of there. A whole bunch of women coming out with sexual assault allegations. A lot of money he had to pay out. Now the Houston Texans recouped assets for trading him out of there. Yeah, he's out. But look what it took for him to get out. He got a tarnished name. He spent tons of money, even though he got tons of money from Cleveland. But he spent tons of money. He got a tarnished name. Now when you bring up Deshaun Watson, this is the talk that's gonna come with his name. Those sexual assault allegations. When you mention Deshaun Watson's name, they gonna add this stuff on after his name. This is gonna follow behind his name now. Just like when you bring up somebody like Mike Vick, they gonna bring up the dog fighting situation. Even though we passed that, it's just something that's gonna come with his name when you mention it. When you mention Deshaun Watson, you're gonna think about all these women that accuse him of these sexual assault allegations. That's just what's gonna come with it now. I'm telling you, the NFL is different from the NBA. You don't get your way in the NFL the same way you can get your way in the NBA. You want out in the NBA, you can force your way out in the NBA. You want out in the NFL, you ain't getting out of there. Because they're gonna slap the franchise tag on your ass, and now you done lost your leverage. You have no leverage. Think about this. Out of the 32 teams in the NFL, there's only 6 black head coaches. You look at Mike Tomlin, D'Amico Ryans, Raheem Morris, Gerard Mayo, Todd Bowles, and Antonio Pierce. Those are your 6 black head coaches. And out of those 6, you got a first-time head coach in Gerard Mayo. You got a first-time head coach in Antonio Pierce. You got a second-year coach in D'Amico Ryans. And then you got Raheem Morris. He was a former head coach in Tampa. I think this might have been around 2008, 2009, somewhere in there, for a couple years or so. But this is his first time being back a head coach since then. And he just got named Atlanta Falcons head coach. So this is going to be his first year being the head coach in Atlanta as the Falcons head coach. Yeah, you got play. You got black, coordinators, but head coach, no. There's only 6 out of 32 teams. That ain't even a fourth of the league. That's less than a fourth of the league. It's got black head coach. So now you look at the situation where the Rooney Rule has been in place since I think 2003, if I'm not mistaken. So this is like 20, 21 years of the Rooney Rule being in effect in the NFL. And it basically states all the NFL teams must interview minorities for positions. Now, peep this. The NFL been in existence for over 100 years. I think the NFL started in 1920. So it's been in existence for over 100 years. And the Rooney Rule just came in place in 2003, which was 21 years ago, right? So we just now getting to the point where they getting equal, trying to give out equal opportunity to minorities for head coaching positions. You got to interview them now. You got to interview at least one minority now. We just getting to that. So now you think that somebody, and I'm not talking bad about nobody, I'm just trying to get y'all to see that the NFL is different. They don't go for the shit you think they going for. The NFL is different. You think they about to allow somebody to come in and dictate, because we already seen it with the Mannings. LeBron was just the first to do it. The LeBron that I know of now, now if I'm wrong, correct me. I'm 37, but LeBron is the first one to pull a Peyton Manning, or not a Peyton Manning, but a Manning move, because it wasn't Peyton Manning. LeBron was the first one that I know of and seen, and I'm 37, to pull a Manning move in the NBA by getting his son where he wanted his son to be. And we all know what Manning did with Eli. He didn't want Eli in San Diego, so they went to New York, and that's how Phillip Rivers ended up in San Diego. But that's the first and only time in the NBA that I've seen that Manning move being pulled in the NBA that was pulled in the NFL. So now you think that Prime is about to come in and just call other teams out of nowhere and be like, no, don't draft my son, Shedeur. We already got a destination in mind where we gonna go. And if you draft him, we won't report. We just gonna, head on up to the Canadian League. It don't work like that. It's not gonna work like that. But yeah, man, that's Prime. Prime can do, what Prime, that's Prime. He can do this and he can. I get it. It's Prime. I get it. I like Prime just like the rest of y'all do. I'm an ATLian. I remember when Prime was in Atlanta. Hell, I had the sneakers, the shoes. I got them. I got them now. I had them then. As a kid, I had them. I got them now. As an adult, I like Prime. But I just don't want people to get putting stuff way out of whack to not understand what the reality was really going on. You just can't do certain stuff here like you can there. Meaning you can't do what you want to do in the NFL. It's not a players' league in the NFL like the NBA is a players' league. It's not like that. You don't think the NFL done sat back and thought about this thing and seen what LeBron did and said, nah, man, we can't have that in our league. Already done gave you an example what Bob McNair said before the former Houston Texans owner, before he died. When everybody was kneeling down, taking knees, he said we can't have the inmates running the prison. I already told y'all he's referring to the players as the inmates and he's referring to the NFL as the prison. You can't have the players running the league. So the NBA just seen LeBron pull a Manning-style move in the NBA that Manning pulled in the NFL. And when did Manning pull that? That was like, 20 years ago? Who else been able to come in and pull that kind of move? It's been a reason ain't nobody else pulled it since Manning. 20 years. Now that the move has been pulled in the NBA, I guarantee you the NFL seen that and said, no, man, we ain't gonna have that. We can't have that. We ain't gonna have that.
Sounds right.
Now, if I had it my way, I wouldn't give a damn. I'd let him do what he want to do. Because I like seeing people control their own destiny, because at the end of the day, it's a business and teams will cut you, won't tell you until they cut you. Teams will trade you. Teams will try not to pay you. So yeah, I'm all for taking advantage in areas where you can take advantage of it. I get all that, because that's what the team's gonna do in the best interest of the business. If they think the best interest of the business is not to pay you, they ain't gonna pay you. If they think the best interest of the business is to trade you and get something for you, they gonna trade you. If they think in the best interest of the business is to cut and release you, that's what they gonna do. If they think the best interest of the business is to put you on the bench and come behind so-and-so, is to cut your snaps, cut your reps, that's what they gonna do. So I'm all for taking advantage in areas where you can take advantage of, because that's what they gonna do on their end of the business. So you gotta do what you gotta do for you on your end of the business. I get that. But I'm living in reality, and I'm trying to tell y'all what the reality of the situation is. They not just gonna allow you to come in there and do what the hell you want to do. It's not like you go into a team that don't have a fan base. We talking about the Raiders, who have a fan base. We talking about the Raiders, who've been had a fan base. I'm talking about even during the Jamarcus Russell years, they had a solid fan base. They had a passionate fan base. There's plenty of videos where you got Oakland fans, or Raider fans rather, in the stands fighting like hell. Not even all against the other opposing team fan base, but in some cases, they fighting their own damn fans. They fighting against one another. They passionate fan base out there. So it's not like you can come to the table and be like, look, man, you get my guy over, you get my kid over here, I'm going to increase your fan base, I'm going to increase your revenue. They're already making money. Now, yeah, you probably can make more of it, but the fan base is they already got a solid fan base. It's not like people that are fans of the Oakland Raiders are only Oakland Raider or only Raider fans because they out there in that region, in that Bay Area region. No, that's not they have a fan base. They have a large fan base. They have a large following. It's not like they're an expansion team. You know what I'm saying? And no shots thrown at nobody, the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Carolina Panthers. But most people that are Panther and Jaguar fans are fans because they live or from Charlotte or Jacksonville or from the surrounding area of those cities. And they're a fan base. And then if they move off somewhere else into another city and they carry their fanhood with them, that's that. But they don't have a fan base on the level of the Raiders. They don't. So you can't even bring that to the table and say, oh man, well, we're going to increase your fan base. They already going to increase their revenue. They have a solid, passionate fan base anyway. Hell, they had a passionate fan base when fucking Rich Gannon was the quarterback out there. Jamarcus Russell had a fan base then. They got a solid fan base, a passionate fan base. So it's not like you can just say that, oh, well, we're going to, that's what we're going to come in and benefit. No. I guarantee you they don't look at that list and said, look, man, if the teams that they named, they probably look at that list and look, man, this shit is it's probably not, the likelihood is probably slim to none that we land here. A more realistic option is probably Vegas. And like I told y'all, and I said this months ago, I might have not told y'all, but I had a conversation and said this months ago, and I doubled down on it after the draft. I said a good spot for Shedeur would be with the Raiders. For the reasons I already named. I said, for one, Tom Brady is affiliated with the team now in the front office. He knows Shedeur Sanders. So Shedeur Sanders trained with him at his TB12 camp. The Raiders are going to be QB needy team. The Raiders are going to be in position to draft him. And you can make money off the field because of marketability in Vegas. With the Oakland, with the A's moving over there in 2 years, I believe. It's a WNBA franchise and the Las Vegas Aces there, in which, the WNBA is now getting big and has gotten bigger and is going to continue to get bigger if it continue to trend in this direction. The Raiders are there. The nightlife is there. And the NBA is going to expand, and I'm willing to bet one of the teams that's likely, or one of the cities that's likely to get one of those expansion teams in the NBA would be Vegas. So there's going to be tons of marketability off the field in Vegas. Now the downside of that is, you're going to be in the division with Pat Mahomes twice, and now Harbaugh over there with the Chargers. But that's competitiveness. That's going to be whatever team you go to. You're going to go to a team, and you could be in a weak division, but outside of the division, you're still going to play tough teams, tough games. So I don't even want to look at that, consider that, the division you in. It's not like Pat Mahomes can play forever. And you're going to have to compete And whatever team you go to, whatever division you play in, whatever team you play for, you still gonna have to compete. So I'm not even really looking at that, but somebody will bring that up though. You're gonna compete and play wherever you go. But what I'm trying to tell you is, if we just seen one move pull, you probably ain't gonna see back-to-back moves pull like that. But yeah, man, it's Deion. He moved. I get all that. But the NFL is different. The NFL is different. And I get it. Everybody daddy ain't prime. I get that. But the NFL is different. You're not going to go in the NFL and dictate. You ain't going to do that. I guarantee the NFL is on top of this now. Looking at the upcoming draft class already, and we just had the draft in April? And they already looking at this upcoming draft. They ain't on that. You don't think Marvin Harrison, a top 10 receiver, who played with Peyton Manning, who probably got some ties and connections with people in that Indianapolis Colts organization in front office, who was a very successful wide receiver in the NFL, top 10 wide receiver, top 10. You put him in, I put him in top 10 wide receivers of all time. You don't think he got some connections and ties in the front office in Indy? His son Marvin Harrison Jr., arguably the best wide receiver in college football this past season. He didn't go to Indy. He ended up in Arizona. Now I get it that Marvin Harrison wasn't no superstar player like Deion was. I get that. But if he wanted his son in a certain place, you don't think that he probably could have, talked to somebody and he knows somebody in the front office and got good ties and connections? I don't remember Marvin Harrison being a bad guy. I don't remember him being a bad teammate. I don't remember him being a locker room counselor. I don't remember none of that bad stuff about Marvin Harrison. But you don't think that he could have, talked to somebody and got a favor too done for him if he wanted his son in a certain place? That's just me. You know what I mean? I'm just telling you, it don't work like that in the NFL like it work in the NBA. Now I think people just think that, and I get it. It's prime. I get it. I'm a prime fan just like the next man is or the next person is. But you're going to have people to start trying stuff like that now. Now, will it be successful? I doubt it. Not back to back. Not after we just seen what LeBron do by getting his son to LA, to the Lakers. You're gonna have people that try that, but they ain't gonna be able to move the needle like that. For one, they're not gonna have the clout, they're not gonna have the superstardom. And first of all, you gotta understand, right now, LeBron James is still playing in the NBA. He is still making the NBA tons of money. That's the first father-son duo in NBA history. They're going to make tons of money together. LeBron is currently still playing in the NBA, making them tons of money. But you look at Deion. Deion ain't played in the NFL in, 20 years? So what money... because people compare the situation, so I'm asking you, what money is Deion making in the NFL? He's the head coach in Colorado Buffaloes. He's a collegiate coach in Colorado now. He's not playing in the NFL. He hasn't played in the NFL in a while. Now I get it. He's a Hall of Famer, one of the best, if not the best at his position. Probably the best at his position. He's a superstar in his time. I get all that. He doing his thing, coaching. Damn good job with his sons. I get all that. But a lot of people blow shit out of proportion and think that it's about to be a domino effect. No, man, these people are not going for that shit. I'm trying to tell y'all this. They ain't going for it. They got a brotherhood thing that they got right now, and they not going for it. Now I said they ain't even got a fourth of the NFL with black head coaches. There's only 6 black head coaches out of 32 teams. Only 6 black head coaches. That's not even a fourth of the league with black head coaches. They don't even have a fourth of the league with black head coaches. And now you think somebody that's a non-head coach is about to dictate? Somebody that they haven't made money off of in a while is about to dictate? Unlike LeBron still in the league, they making money off of him. First father and son duo to play together, they gonna make even more money off of that. So you can see why they kind of gave the leverage to allow them to dictate that. But why would you think the NFL would give prime leverage to dictate this? Now, like I tell you, I ain't hating. If it was my world and had it my way, shit, I'll let it happen. Because like I said, I'm all for controlling your destiny and doing what's in the best interest of your business in your life. If you can control that. Because it's a business, and these people gonna do things in the best interest of their business, despite you. If they want to release you and they think it's in the best interest of their business, they gonna do it. If they want to not pay you, they gonna try not to pay you because it's in the best interest. If they want to trade you, they gonna trade you because that's in the best interest of their business. And they leave it up to you to figure it out after you gone. So I'm all for taking control of certain situations that's gonna benefit you, your brand, and business, and this, that, and the third, because that's what they gonna do. But I'm just talking to you from a realistic point of view, being in a realistic world, seeing how the things work realistically. And that's how it works in the NFL, realistically. These people are not going to let you come in here and dictate shit. They on top of this shit. They ain't going to let you come in and dictate nothing. You have no leverage. The NFL is not a players' league like the NBA is. You're not dictating nothing in the NFL. Why you think so many players catch hell with contracts? How many people hold out of NFL account because they're going through contract negotiations? And I get it. They don't want to get hurt in camp and mess up the contract negotiations that they got going on because they got hurt. I get that part of it. But why even go that far? You should, if it was the NBA, they would have had a contract. It shouldn't even got that far if the NFL was the NBA. They would have been signed. They would have been inked. The contract would have been a done deal. They would be in camp. And whether they got hurt in camp or not, they would have signed their contract and they would have got their money. They would have gotten their guaranteed dollars, the guaranteed portion of the contract, they would have got that. But the NFL is not the NBA. It is not a players' league like the NBA is. Now, it's a lot of players that probably wasn't even too fond of going to 17 games. I mean, it means an extra game check. I get that. But now the NFL trying to expand to 18 games. If the NFL want 18 games, they're going to vote on 18 games. The players are probably going to have some type of negotiation in there, but they ain't stopping 18 games. They ain't stopping that. If that's what the NFL really want, the NFL is going to say, hey, look, this is how it's going to work. The NFL want 18 games. The players may not want 18 games because there's too many games. So with the NFL will say, okay, we're going to get 18 games whether you want it or not. But what else do you want out of the deal? Because we know what we want and this is what we're going to do. We're going to give y'all a little say-so. And so we'll probably give y'all an extra bye week because you already getting an extra game check, which means you're getting extra money because that's an extra game you playing. So, yeah, we're going to give you an extra bye week. So now each team going to have 2 bye weeks. But at the end of the day, you done nothing to stop them from adding an 18th game. The only thing they did was gave you a little say-so and gave you an extra week off because that was what they was going to do anyway. Now, if Bob McNair was an NFL owner, Bob McNair, like I said, is the former Houston Texans owner. If Bob McNair was an NBA owner and owned the team and said we can't let the inmates, we can't have the inmates run the prison. If he made that statement as an NBA owner and NBA players boycotted the play, don't you think the NBA would have Donald Sterling this dude and got him the hell up out of there? Now, if Donald Sterling was an NFL owner instead of an NBA owner and made the statements and got caught saying stuff on camera the way he got, do you think he would still be an NFL owner? Or do you think the NFL would have done him the same way the NBA done? Banned him and made him sell the team? Because think about it. I don't know the exact numbers, but, and I hate to go here and make this comparison, but I'm just trying to get y'all to see the differences between the NFL and the NBA. The NFL not going for shit. I mean, the NBA ain't either, but it's a players league, and you more likely or probably will get away with doing what you want in the NBA versus doing it in the NFL. Now, when he made that statement, we can't have the inmates running the prison. Think about how many, I don't know the numbers exactly, but how many brothers are locked up in the prison systems today? It's a lot. How many brothers are playing in the NFL today? It's a lot. So you can look at it and say that he's saying we can't have these brothers running our league. And I keep going back to this quote because when he said that shit, I couldn't believe he said it and still own the NBA franchise after on the NFL franchise after saying that. Donald Sterling, they got him smooth the fuck up out of there. Now he got paid because he sold the team at I think $4 billion or close to $4 billion or something like that. So he got paid, but at the end of the day, they got him smooth the fuck up out of there for the stuff he got caught saying. But Donald Sterling got caught saying it, didn't even know he was being recorded saying the shit. And they got him smooth the hell up out of there. But this dude, Bob McNair, he said the shit. Not privately. He said the shit so you can hear. And he still had his team. But he since died since then, and his team's been, passed down. But they didn't get rid of him after he said that. So for other NFL owners not to vote him out, they must have been all in somewhat agreement with what he said. They didn't hide it. They didn't vote him out. They didn't make him sell his team. Now, Jerry Richardson, the former owner of the Carolina Panthers, he did have to sell his team. He was forced to sell his team because he had some other sexual stuff going on. So he was forced to sell his team. And if I'm not mistaken, Jerry Richardson has since then died. After selling his team. He died after selling his team. But this dude, Bob Myers, he didn't hide what he said. He didn't say this in private and didn't know he was being recorded saying it. He said this shit so you can know he said it. And he still kept his team. But Donald Sterling, who got caught saying some stuff and didn't even know he was being recorded saying it, they got him smooth the fuck up out of there. Them players wasn't going for that shit. And the NBA said, oh, well, we gonna lose a lot of money behind this. We gotta get this guy up out of here. But it wasn't an ugly exit because he sold the team for damn near $4 billion. So he got paid $4 billion to get the fuck on. That ain't a bad damn exit at all. But this dude here, he wasn't forced to sell his team. And he said some shit that he wanted you to hear. And make sure he said it where you can hear it. But you think somebody that's not in the NFL, even though he got some clout, but he ain't got no clout to come in here and override this shit, to dictate and do what he want to do. Because he just told you we can't have the inmates run the prison. He said that. So that's all I'm saying about the NBA versus the NFL. I don't think Deion gonna be able to pull a LeBron James move and get his sons there. If his sons end up in Vegas with the Raiders, it's because the Raiders are in position to get his sons. With the Raiders not drafting a quarterback in this past draft, and they're gonna be a QB needy team. Plus, they're gonna be in position to draft high enough to get him, because I don't see them winning enough games to win the division or make the playoffs some kind of way. So they will be picking high enough to get him, and it's gonna be a position of need, both quarterback and safety, because the secondary ain't that damn good, and they're gonna need a quarterback, and they're gonna be drafting high enough to get him. And Shilo Sanders, in my opinion, he ain't gonna be a first or second round. He might be a third rounder or later, because we all know that it's surprise picks in the draft, and good talent gets pushed down the board, and which eventually falls out of the first round to the second round, which falls out of the second round to the third round. So it's first round talent in second round, it's second round talent in third round, it's third round talent in the fourth round, because players fall, surprise picks, teams move up and down, guys fall down the draft board because some teams move up to draft other guys, some guys draft guys, it messed the whole board up, and it just have talent falling, down the draft board to the next round. I don't even think he's coming into this season. I don't even think he's ranked as a top 5 safety in the nation. I know the guy from Georgia, Malachi Starks, he ranked number 1 right now coming into the season. But I last time I looked, Shilo Sanders was outside of the top 5. So if they do get him, it's going to be because they're in position to get him, not because that's what Prime dictated and that's what they wanted to be. They might say that, but at the end of the day, when you look at it, they're going to be there because that's a position that, or that's a need of the Raiders, and the Raiders going to be in good position to get it. Not because that's what they dictated to be, If you look at all the other teams, they not. It's a good chance they not. It's a damn good chance they not going to land there. And this is a good, logical, realistic landing spot. Not because that's what they dictated, but that's a realistic landing spot for them to be. And like I said, third, fourth round for Shilo, anybody could get him at that point. But I don't think it's going to be a LeBron James move to get them both there. I think if they both end up there, it's going to be because they were in position to get him there. And like I said, there's going to be a need for both quarterback and DB. You always need DBs over there in that division. You got to go up against Pat Mahomes twice. You're always going to need a defense. As long as Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid over there in the division, you always going to need to be stacked. You're going to have to score points to beat them, and you're going to have a defense that can kind of slow them down to some degree. You can't stop them. You can only slow them down to some degree. So you're going to need pass rushing, which I think the Raiders did a good job of adding Christian Wilkinson up front to go along with Max Crosby. And then they got Tyree Wilson, the guy who they drafted a couple years ago. It's a passing league, especially Kansas City with Andy Reid's offensive mind, and then Pat Mahomes QB. You're going to need DBs to cover. And you're going to need edge rushing to force things, make things difficult up front. So you're just going to need an all-around team that can score and that can slow down Pat Mahomes. So it's going to be a position of need DB and quarterback for the Raiders. And now, like I said, Harbaugh's now in the division. So those are going to be positions of need. So it's not going to be pulling the LeBron to get them there. It's not going to be hard to do because the Raiders are going to be in position to get them both. It's not going to be maneuvering that you're going to have to do to get them there. They're already going to be in position to be drafted there. So yeah, let's not go overboard and say we about to pull LeBron and do all this other stuff. No. The Raiders are going to be in position to get you. It's a realistic landing spot compared to the other teams that were on the list. So let's be for real about it. You know what I mean? Like I said, if it was my world and I had it my way, then yeah, I would. You do what you need to do, and I will allow it to do what you need to do to take care of yourself business-wise, because that's what they're going to do. You know what I mean? and not tell you about it until you find out about it. But that ain't the world we live in. I'm just giving it to you from a realistic standpoint. Well, they ain't gonna tell you, but I'm gonna tell you because there's just uncensored sports talk over here. I can say a lot of shit that they ain't gonna say or can't say, and I'm just keeping it real with you. But man, that's my time right now, man. Let me get ready to get out of here. Like I said, head over to YouTube, man, and subscribe to the page. Damn YouTube Sports Talk. Click the notification bell so you can get updated when I drop new content. Head over to social media platforms, Instagram. Follow me on damn_YouTube_ Sports Talk. You can follow my personal page on IG as well, Ralph_Sneaks. That's with a Z. And over on X or Twitter, whichever one you call it, is Damn YouTube Sports Talk over there. Until the next episode, man, I'm out.